Dr. Anthony Fauci told CNN's Jim Acosta that he would not serve under Donald Trump if he were to sit in the Oval Office again in 2024. Let's listen.
If Trump were to return to the White House as president, and COVID is still a threat, or there's some other public health emergency, would you have confidence in his ability? Would you have confidence in his ability to deal with a pandemic of this nature? Would you want to stay on in your post?
Well, no, to the second question. The first question
I think
is,
I knew the answer to it, but I had to ask you.
If you look at the history of what the response was during the administration, I think, at best you could say it wasn't optimal. And I think just history will speak for itself about that. I don't need to make any further comment on that, Jim. It's not productive.
You would not serve with Trump again, though. That's fair to say.
Right.
Right.
For sure.
You promise?
I know. The end is in sight, Kim. Oh, my God. I could not think of a better reason to support Donald Trump's reelection, which I don't generally support. But, man, would I be happy to be rid of Fauci.
Yeah, I think he might have just swayed a bunch of independents to say, okay, that's it. I'm checking the Trump box. I definitely don't want to see Fauci again. I mean, look, Fauci is 81 years old, by the way, turning 82 at the end of the year. By the time Trump were to be reelected, if he gets reelected in 2024, Fauci will be 84 years old when Trump takes office. It's time to go, not because of Trump. It's just time to retire. He has been in this position for way too long, and he is way past time of passing the baton to somebody else. And that's, of course, risky. Not to say that the next person would be any better than how Fauci has been. But certainly, for him to say that Trump botched the response, who do we trust for the response for the pandemic at this point? Everybody's botched it.
How can you say Trump botched it any more than Biden? More people died of COVID while Biden was president at this point than Trump. It's just Trump was president during the earliest part of the pandemic, and not to defend him, but there was more confusion about what we should do. We got terrible guidance from the CDC, which screwed up testing royally. Was that Trump's fault? I think it was the CDC's fault. Or maybe you blame Trump for all of it, but you have to blame Biden for, don't you have to lay the deaths at Biden's feet? Biden, who put forth, who ordered an unconstitutional, an illegal federal vaccine mandate without, unthinkingly, and which was then, shot down rightly by the Supreme Court. We continue to mask toddlers in schools for months, the most aggressively locked down, masked up, forcibly to avoid COVID populations were the safest populations of all under Biden and under Trump as well to some degree. Look, there's just a lot of wrongdoing, a lot of mistakes by all of our policymakers, our political figures. So for Fauci to say, "Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't work with Trump," I mean, good, because we want him gone. But it's so ridiculous. It's so overtly political, which is the exact thing that he says that, no, we're just, the science is the science. I'm avoiding the politics. He's absolutely part of the politics. He's a creature of it. And that's a pretty clear indication that he is.
And it's amazing that he's putting blame on someone else other than himself. He's the pandemic czar. He's the one who was supposed to be leading us and guiding us through this. But he has been completely, for one, he's lied to us numerous times. He's gaslit us on other occasions. He has been, he's wishy-washy, flip-flopped on how people should be responding and what people should be doing. And then on top of it, encouraged taking people's freedoms away. So Fauci to be pointing the blame at anybody else other than just squarely back at himself as the pandemic czar is to me bizarre and just a complete devoid of reality and what his position during this entire pandemic was supposed to be. What was he supposed to be doing and why wasn't he doing it? We're able to point to a million contradictions under Fauci's guidance. That wasn't Donald Trump's fault. Did Trump force him to lie? Did Trump force him to contradict himself? Was that Donald Trump who did that?
I can't think of something. Maybe there is something. There certainly aren't a lot of things. What are the cases where Fauci said, here's what we should do, and Trump said no? Trump mostly went along with what they were saying. He started to kind of criticize that there was some back talking, but I think he basically gave the public health establishment basically what they wanted. You know, a few tweets about liberate Michigan or elsewhere aside. So I don't understand. I can't make sense of why Fauci would have this hostility to Trump specifically, other than he's just a member of Team Blue, and what you do on Team Blue is, catastrophize Trump's return.
Well, yeah, because Fauci's been made a hero on the left.
Yeah.
And so he wants to maintain that hero status, right? So he's got to point the finger at Trump. But look, Trump and Fauci to me are one and the same, very similar personalities, right? They both seem to be very egotistical and they don't want to take the blame. So they're pointing the blame at somebody else. And that's what Fauci's doing by putting it on Trump, and Trump would put it on Fauci. And, because of the failures, because it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to control a virus. So, which I think people are now learning, that there's as many of the lockdowns and mask wearing and vaccines and everything that everybody's tried, the virus is still circulating around, like it or not. I mean, that's how I caught it, because my fiance, his mandated fully vaccinated workplace, they were mandated to get it, circulated it around. And then I caught it here at home, right? And then they all brought it to their homes. And it's very difficult to outrun a virus or to hide from a virus. Or to beat a virus. And rather than, I think, kind of having that reality and everybody saying, okay, we've got to do our best to protect the most vulnerable, the elderly, and not the preschool toddlers, like you're mentioning, Robbie. They've instead just continued to focus on a zero COVID policy, which you and I have criticized endlessly. But yeah, Fauci is one of the real reasons for that mindset, because he hasn't let it go for people. He's starting to, right? And he's starting to say, well, it's not going to go away. It's never going anywhere. But then at the same time, he does doublespeak. He'll say that, but then he'll behave or give recommendations that make it seem like this is never going to end.
Well, at least we know his retirement at some point is a possibility. Of course, we'll have to see how that shakes out. But an interesting admission from the perpetual coronavirus czar. Well, I would be happy to throw him a retirement party at any time. Say the word.
Anytime. He's well overdue. Yes. Well overdue. Today. Let's make it now.
All right. We'll have more Rising right after this. Stay with us.